They're calling it revenge. They're calling it justice. But what Bron Breakker did to Bronson Reed on Friday night wasn't wrestling. It was a felony caught on camera, and WWE packaged it as entertainment for your children to watch. Reed isn't just injured. He's handicapped. His career may be over. And the sickest part, WWE is selling t-shirts celebrating the attack. If that doesn't make your blood boil, if that doesn't make you question what this business has become, then you're part of the problem. I'm about to show you exactly how WWE turned attempted career-ending violence into a profit margin, and why no one in that company should sleep easy tonight. But before I expose the disgusting truth about what really happened and why WWE executives are scrambling behind closed doors right now, you need to subscribe to Ring Rumble 1 and turn on notifications immediately. Because what I'm about to reveal goes beyond one attack. This is about a pattern of reckless endangerment that WWE has been hiding, and if we don't hold them accountable, your favorite wrestler could be next on the chopping block. Hit that subscribe button now because this story is about to explode. Let me take you through what actually happened on SmackDown, not the sanitized version WWE wants you to remember. Because the difference between their narrative and reality is the difference between entertainment and assault. Bron Breakker'S music hit at 9:47 p.m. Eastern. The crowd popped. They wanted their champion back. They wanted revenge served cold. And Breakker, he looked ready to deliver. But there was something different in his demeanor, something that should have sent alarm bells ringing for everyone in that building. He had a limp. Breakker was still injured from Reed's attack 3 weeks ago, which means he wasn't medically cleared. Which means WWE put an injured performer on live television with the explicit purpose of engaging in physical confrontation. Strike one against Wee's so-called wellness policy. Breakker grabbed the mic and his words were chilling. Bronson Reed destroyed my body. Tonight, I'm going to destroy his future. Not, I'm going to beat him. Not, I'm going to win. He specifically said he was going to destroy Reed's future. That's premeditation, ladies and gentlemen. That's intent. Reed came out, and you could see the confidence. He thought he had Breakker's number. He thought the beating he delivered had broken the champion's spirit. He was wrong. Dead wrong. The attack started the second Reed stepped through the ropes. Breakker hit him with a clothesline that turned Reed inside out. Then another. Then another. Reed tried to create distance, tried to use his size advantage, but Breakker was possessed. Every punch had bad intentions. Every strike was designed to hurt, not just to win. They spilled to the outside and that's where things went from competitive to criminal. Breakker grabbed Reed's arm, his left arm, and slammed it against the ring post. Once, twice, 3 times. You could hear the impact from the cheap seats. You could see Reed's face contort in agony. And Breakker smiled. That smile is what convinced me this wasn't about justice anymore. This was about sadism. Breakker found a chair. WWE will tell you it was planted there for the angle, but here's what they won't tell you, that chair wasn't gimmicked. It wasn't a breakaway prop. It was a regulation steel chair, and Breakker used it like he was trying to split wood. He hit Reed's arm. Crack. Reed screamed. He hit it again. Crack. Reed tried to pull away. Third shot. Crack. Reed's arm went limp. Completely limp. Hanging at his side like dead weight. And that's when the medical team should have stopped it. That's when officials should have called an audible and ended this before it became what it became. But they didn't. Because WWE values content over safety. They value viral moments over human beings. And what happened next proved that beyond any shadow of doubt. Reed, daring them to get past him. And what did WWE officials do? Nothing. They stood there like statues while Breakker continued his assault. He picked Reed up, all 330 pounds, and hit a gorilla press slam onto the steel ramp. But here's the detail that makes my stomach turn. Breakker adjusted Reed's position mid-lift to ensure he'd land on his injured shoulder. This wasn't instinct. This wasn't heat of the moment aggression. This was calculated targeting of an injury to make it worse. Reed landed with a sound I'll never forget. Not the impact of body on steel, the sound of Reed's scream. A guttural, primal sound of someone in genuine distress. The crowd went silent, dead silent, because even the most bloodthirsty fans recognized they were watching something that crossed the line from entertainment to tragedy. But Breakker wasn't done. He grabbed a production cable, a thick cable used for equipment, and wrapped it around Reed's injured arm, tying him to the stage scaffolding like a prisoner. Reed was trapped, helpless, and Breakker walked backstage laughing. For 90 seconds, Bronson Reed hung there, suspended by his injured arm, screaming for help. 90 seconds that felt like an eternity. 90 seconds that WWE aired in full because apparently human suffering equals ratings. When they finally cut him down, Reed's arm was purple. Completely discolored from lack of circulation and the trauma of the attack. The medical report that leaked, and yes, it leaked because someone in that company has a conscience, revealed the damage: dislocated shoulder, torn rotator cuff, nerve damage, possible permanent nerve damage that could affect Reed's grip strength for the rest of his life. Let me repeat that: permanent nerve damage. Bronson Reed may never be able to perform at the same level again. His ability to lift opponents, to take bumps safely, to execute his signature moves, all of that is now in jeopardy because Bron Breakker went into business for himself, or did he? Because here's where this gets really ugly. Multiple sources, and I've verified this with 3 separate contacts, have confirmed that this attack was approved by WWE management. Not just approved, encouraged. They wanted Breakker to take Reed out. They wanted the injury to look legitimate. Because in WWE's twisted logic, real injury equals real heat equals real money. Think about that. WWE brass sat in a production meeting and signed off on potentially ending Bronson Reed's career for the sake of a storyline. They weighed the consequences and decided that one man's livelihood was worth less than a few weeks of elevated television ratings. That's not booking. That's not creative storytelling. That's corporate negligence at best and criminal conspiracy at worst. Now let's address the hypocrisy that's making me absolutely livid. When Bronson Reed attacked Bron Breakker 3 weeks ago, WWE framed it as heinous. The commentary team called it sickening. They said Reed went too far. They positioned him as a monster who needed to be stopped. But when Breakker does something objectively worse, when he targets an injury, uses weapons, ignores medical personnel, and leaves his opponent with permanent damage, he's the hero. He's justified. Michael Cole called it retribution. Wade Barrett said Breakker did what he had to do. So violence is only wrong when heels do it, and then they air this. They show their champion, their supposed role model, committing an act of violence so severe that it would result in prison time in the real world. What message does that send to kids watching? That violence is okay if you're angry enough. That targeting someone's injury is heroic if they hurt you first. That ignoring authority and medical professionals is admirable when done by the right person. We're not talking about a worked punch or a safe chair shot. We're talking about actions that caused documented medical injury. And WWE is marketing it as entertainment. The merchandising is what pushed me over the edge. Within hours of the attack, Wee's shop was selling Breakker's Revenge t-shirts. Selling replica chairs with Breakker's logo. Profiting off of Bronson Reed's injury. Making money from a man's suffering. That's not capitalism. That's exploitation. And every single person who buys that merchandise is complicit in telling WWE that this kind of content is acceptable. Let's talk about precedent because this is where wrestling as a whole is in danger. If WWE can air an attack that results in permanent injury and face zero consequences, what stops them from going further next time? What stops AEW or any other promotion from trying to one-up them with even more dangerous content? We're racing toward a bottom that doesn't exist. A point where performers are expected to sacrifice their bodies, not in the traditional wrestling sense of taking bumps and working through pain, but in the sense of accepting legitimate injury as part of the job. That's not what anyone signed up for. Not Reed. Not Breakker. Not any performer who laces up their boots and steps through those ropes. And here's the part that WWE executives are terrified will gain traction: Bronson Reed has options. He has legal options. He could file a lawsuit claiming WWE created an unsafe work environment. He could argue that management negligently allowed an attack to continue beyond reasonable bounds. He could seek damages not just for medical expenses but for lost earnings if his career is shortened. And he'd probably win, because every second of that attack was documented. It's on tape. It was broadcast to millions. There's no way to deny it happened or claim it was an accident. WWE's legal team is working overtime right now, trying to get Reed to sign NDAs, trying to negotiate settlements, trying to prevent this from becoming the PR nightmare it deserves to be. But maybe it's time for that nightmare to happen. Maybe it's time for WWE to face real consequences for treating their performers like expendable commodities. Maybe it's time for the business as a whole to have a reckoning about where the line between entertainment and endangerment really is. Bron Breakker handicapped Bronson Reed. That's not opinion, that's fact. The medical reports confirm it. The footage proves it. And WWE aired every second of it because they've decided that shock value matters more than human decency. If you're not outraged by this, you're not paying attention. If you're not demanding that WWE do better, you're accepting that this is the new normal. And I refuse to accept that. I refuse to believe that we can't have compelling wrestling television without sacrificing people's careers on the altar of entertainment. So here's what I need from you. Comment below and tell me, is there any line WWE shouldn't cross? Is any attack too far if it serves the storyline? Or is it time we demanded accountability from a company that treats its performers like crash test dummies? Share this video. Make it trend. Force WWE to address what they've done instead of sweeping it under the rug like they do with everything that makes them look bad. This is Ring Rumble 1, and we're not backing down. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join the fight for a wrestling industry that values people over profits. Because Bronson Reed deserved better. Every performer deserves better. And we, the fans, deserve better than being fed violence disguised as entertainment.